Hey guys, this is Adam Carswell, and today I am joined by Kyle, Mitchell, and Gary Lipski. They are the co-founders of APT Capital Group and hosts of the Asset Management Summit. In a past life, Gary has done some amazing things, such as produce shows that have made it all the way to HBO. Joked with him before the call and said, "You're a former Hollywood producer, right?" And Kyle also has a pretty cool background outside of real estate as well. Once upon a time, he was a professional golfer. So these guys have done some cool things in their lives leading up to where they're at now. We might get into that here a little bit at the beginning. Both based out of Los Angeles. Again, we might dig into what parts of LA here throughout the interview, but really excited to have him here. I reached out to Kyle maybe about, like I said, a month and a half ago when they were doing their asset management summit, which was virtual. And I was like, hey, really want to get you on the show to just share with my listeners your key takeaways and experience of doing this, because they really did it at a big level. One more time, we're going to get into it here today. Before that, flip it over here to Kyle and Gary. We'll start with Kyle. Thank you for coming on the show. And do you have any opening remarks for our listeners?
Yeah, no, just happy to be here. We really appreciate you coming on, and we just want to add value to your listeners about, how that summit went, some of the things we learned, and just some valuable information. So excited to be here.
Awesome. And Gary, happy to have you here too.
Yeah, just like Kyle said, yeah, definitely happy and known you for a while. So it's an honor to be on your show.
And I remember, so Kyle's been on Dream Chasers before, guys. You got to go dig through the archives. I know it might have been before episode 50. I think this is, we're getting close to 130. I'm not sure exactly which number this one will be, but cool to have him back as a repeat offender, as some people have once said. And then Gary, it was cool. I remember when we first met, it was actually a best ever conference, which that conference, I'm looking back at it and I've talked to a lot of people. That was kind of like, we didn't realize that was going to be the last time that like we had what we had, right? I don't know if, we don't know the next time we're going to have a face-to-face conference. But I remember like standing outside of the resort or the area, like just talking to you and Hunter. So you remember that?
Yeah, I'm freezing my butt off. Yeah.
That's right. So yeah, again, it feels like I've known these guys for, years, but it's been a couple at least. And it's been really cool to just see, especially I remember when Kyle was first getting started with his podcast. And then again, since meeting Gary, and then now looking at what's taken place during COVID, these guys have just gone all out, like full pedal to the metal and getting their brand out there. Most importantly, I think educating the people in their circles. Like sometimes that gets overlooked. Everyone's just focused on like closing deals, raise capital, etc. I mean, these guys are putting the education first, which I think is really what pays off in the long run, from what I can observe. So again, we're going to dive into that here today. Guys, any other remarks before we hop into the next level chamber?
Let's do it.
I'm ready to go.
All right, here we go. So the topic of today's discussion is virtual summit secrets. And yes, today we're going to dive into some of the key takeaways from what you could say is a real estate virtual summit. But this whole concept is really becoming a hot topic, I think, just in business in general. So, regardless of what walk of life or what area of business you are currently residing in, we're going to talk real estate today, but I think there's going to be a ton of key takeaways as far as, structure, bringing on speakers, scheduling. I'm sure scheduling was just like so much fun for you guys, right? You did a fantastic job with marketing. I think you guys started marketing like at least 3 or 4 months out, which I want to know, how you kind of went through that planning process. And, I'm a big marketing guy, so I think that's where we're going to start. We'll start with Gary. Tell us a little bit about the experience you guys went through from marketing. Because again, I remember seeing like ads for this summit like 6 months out. And sometimes people don't market until like 3 weeks before their event. So, what was that like?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. So we did one other conference after BEC. We went to IMN in Dallas, and we had been talking about the summit. And, on the way back, on our flight, Kyle and I were going through, our yearly plan and just going back and forth. And originally we said, no, we're not going to do it because of COVID. And then we're like, screw it. We're all in, pedal to the metal. Let's do this. Let's seize this opportunity and go for it. And so, yeah, we just started reaching out to speakers and just, we didn't do any ad spend till like the very end. And quite honestly, looking back, we probably wouldn't do any ad spend. It was just all on social media. We had some friends like you and others that were just posting for us as well, because they were excited about what we were doing. And we saw this as a great opportunity for us to continue to educate ourselves, because you're learning every day, no matter how many years you've been in the business, you still want to learn. And other people were, just wanted the same thing that we did, a forum, because there's so many programs out there that teach you how to get your first deal and then nothing after that. So that's where we saw an opportunity, and it resonated with others.
Yeah. And so one thing that I'm thinking about too, Kyle, definitely want to get your take on this. I've been doing a lot of webinars lately, and I've noticed for whatever reason, it almost doesn't matter on the timing. Once people realize that there's less than like 3 days left, that's when like everything just starts coming in. So I'm wondering if, like, again, in those early, say the first like 3 months or whatever of marketing, were you guys getting nervous? Did you have any like moments where like, man, I don't know, like, is anyone going to sign up? Because like, I know it went well, but I just wanted to know if you had any moments of fear in the marketing portion.
Yeah, to be honest, I think when we first started marketing, we actually got a lot of volume as far as signups. I would say the first half of our signups came in those first couple of weeks of telling people. I think if it was just a regular real estate conference that was going to focus on general topics, then we probably wouldn't have seen the traffic that we did early. However, this is kind of an event that's the first of its kind and something that obviously people wanted. And so because of that, people signed up really early and often. And we actually lost some steam. We probably would not promote it 4 or 5 months in advance again, although we did get a lot of steam to begin with. But then there was that 2 months in between where signups were really slow, because it's kind of like you lost a little bit of momentum, which is why a lot of people wait until 3 weeks so they can keep the momentum going through. I'd probably start advertising 2 months before, and advertising organically mainly. But we were also able to leverage the speakers. We had an amazing speaker list that we really worked hard on, and those speakers kind of carried it through to the end as well, and were a lot of the reason why we were able to get the attendance that we did, which was over 1,800 people.
Wow. And so, Gary, with the speakers, because you guys did have some very high caliber speakers, was that a challenging process? Like, what's your best advice for someone who wants to go and do their own summit, and I think you guys had at least like 10, what I would consider pretty high profile names speaking. What's the best practice in getting someone high profile to come speak at your event?
We just reached out and emailed people. We had some long shots and try to use our network to connect with those people as well. But we told them what we were doing, and they were excited to jump on board. I mean, there were very few no's that we got based on travel or something. But you just got to go for it. And I think for others that are trying to do the same thing, that you'll be surprised, how many people will be willing to come on board and speak.
Yeah. And now you guys, you've got one under your belt, just like, I guess, getting that first deal under your belt. Now you kind of feel like, all right, we know what we're doing. I'm sure next year, whether it's virtual or, face to face, it's going to be a blast, and hopefully not as many growing pains. What would you say? This is more of a generic question, but I'll flip it back over to Kyle. What do you think was like a growing pain through this process? What was one thing that you didn't expect? And you're like, oh man, good thing we're going through this now, so next year we don't have to do this.
Yeah, Gary and I always want to do things at a very high level. And so the amount of work that you had to put in up front to get everything organized, even like the ads, we were doing live videos, building out the landing pages, thinking about your target audience and how you want to communicate with them, and then getting everyone scheduled and on the same page, and the links to certain things and how things are organized, right? So you want to make it as easy as possible for your audience to find you, to log in, and to have all that. And so, one of the growing pains was really working out Zoom and the links. At first, we had different links for every speaker, because we didn't want people who didn't sign up to join it. But at the end, that would have made it very difficult for the attendees, and we didn't want to do that. So we just went to one constant link throughout the entire event. So just small things like that. But, one thing that we didn't mention yet is we hired a coach, just like you should do in real estate or any business. We actually hired a coach that has experience in this. And that was very valuable for us because we learned things that we just didn't know, and you just don't know what you don't know. Right. And so the reason I think we were able to have such a successful event was because we were set up on the front end by our coaching and learn the things before the actual event happened.
Yeah, that's big. I'm happy you brought that up because it definitely sounds like something where if you weren't getting coached, who knows? So are you able to give a reference or a shout out to the coach, or do they got to stay private for now?
No, I don't mind. His name's Adam Flores. And I don't know what his website is. Gary, do you know what it is?
Yeah, we'll share our contact information.
We'll get it.
Yeah.
To us, we're happy to connect people with them.
Adam Flores. Yeah. Cause hey, if there's someone here looking to replicate what you guys just did, I think that could be very valuable. So I want to know, flipping it back to Gary now, what was the inspiration behind doing it for, I believe it was a 14-day summit, right? It was 14. That's like insane. There's no conferences that are ever that long. I haven't seen anything. So actually, as far as I know, you guys are the first of your kind to do that. And it could in the long run become a trend. So like, where the heck did the 14 days come from?
So we definitely wanted to be different in the marketplace. And we knew, when we, going to a virtual summit is hard, particularly when it's 3 days in a row, 8 hours, after an hour and a half, 2 hours, you lose steam. So we're like, okay, well, how do we provide a ton of great content, but in, easily digestible form? So we thought about, spreading it out over 2 weeks so you can buy the recordings that was available for only, $97, and they're still available. But just a couple hours every single day, so that it just makes it easier versus slammed, and then you don't remember anything, you don't implement everything. It just gives time for people, and we knew it was going to be an insane amount of work. I remember texting Kyle after like 3 days and be like, oh my God, we have 11 more days of this, but we're glad we did it. For the next one in April, we actually shortened it to 7 days. We condensed it a little bit, but and the coach suggested it too. Just something different to be a differentiator, and so we went for it with blinders on and.
Yeah, we'll get a link to this in the show notes too. But what where can somebody go to access those recordings? Because I think, again, if you're just looking to do your own summit, I think it would be worth the $97 investment just to see what these guys have done and save yourself a lot of time. Honestly, like, again, doesn't matter what walk of business you could be in, I think you get a lot of value out of it. So where can our listeners go and check that link out?
Yeah, it's amsummit2020.com, and they can purchase all the recordings. I think well over 30, because we had 30 speakers in the
42
VIP sessions. Yeah, so
wow.
Yeah.
And how many, I'll go back over to Kyle now. How many speakers were normally speaking per day? How many hours were you guys dedicating on a daily basis to it compared to the actual summit being open? That was like 3 questions, but
yeah. So we had 20 or 30 speakers, because on one we did have a $5 billion panel, but basically 2 speaking slots per day for 14 days, one at noon and one at 3 p.m. Pacific. And they had hour slots. And then from there, we also had a VIP session where the speakers would come back on. And if you purchased the VIP, you'd actually be able to go on and ask the speakers any questions directly. So then that was at 5 o'clock. But, throughout the day, between 11 and 6:30, Gary and I were basically full on virtual summit, because then we would do a live wrap up on the Facebook group after the VIP at about 5:45. And then obviously we're sending out daily emails and prepping for the speakers and things like that. So you need a little bit of time on the back end and on the front end. So, basically it was AM Summit 2020 for 14 straight days, which was, good. We learned so much from that event.
Yeah. And I guess I'm going to challenge you guys from a humble standpoint a little bit here, but I mean, you just went and did this. And from my point of view, went from, guys who were already doing big things to now like authorities within the industry who have their niche on lock, going to keep doing this. So what does it feel? Do you feel like you've just like moved on to the next level? Like, what's that feeling like? I'll start with Gary, but I want to hear both of you guys.
I mean, it feels good. It's funny, you know, I've had some friends say, "Oh, you're killing it." And at the end of the day, you know, Kyle and I want to do more deals, you know, and so, you know, that's, you know, we're sharing education, but at the end of the day, we're operators, and you know, just want to do good things, you know, and so that's just the bottom line, you know, focusing on what we need to do every day, and share, you know, our best practices.
Absolutely. Kyle, did you evolve?
You know, I mean, I know that it was a huge success, but we're always people that want to keep pushing and move forward. You know, we've got a book coming out in the first or second quarter of next year. It's in publishing now, focus on the same topic. But I think we just want to continue to provide good quality content and value for people. And so we're just looking forward to the next summit, which is in April, and, you know, doubling down and providing even more content than we did before. And so we just want to continue to improve. So we know we did a successful event and we're excited about where we are, but you know, we have some pretty lofty 5-year goals, and we're just continuing to focus on that. It's good to hear the feedback for sure, but we always kind of want to improve and get better.
Yeah. And what would be your advice for anyone else out there who, I mean, you guys have kind of come together and made this, you know, really cool partnership, you know, Gary, Kyle, you know, what's your advice for all the other Garys and Kyles out there that have yet to come together and start working together? What have you guys found success? Because obviously, you know, eventually, like, we're not going to get along, and eventually, like, you're going to have like the best day ever. So like, what's your advice for people working in a team of two to continue to grow in the same direction? We'll start with Gary.
You know, well, first we started dating for a while. You know, we met at a meetup, and we've closed 2 deals previously, and under our separate company names. And then over time, you know, we realized we had the same work ethic, values, commitment to our investors, the way we underwrite deals, and so, you know, spending all that time, then we decided to merge companies. So, you know, I would recommend someone don't rush into something, really get to know someone. And I mean, yeah, there's days that we don't, you know, we have difference of opinions, and you know, but you know, we're after the same thing, and it's a lot of hard work, and you know, there's ups and there's downs, and you've got to be able to keep pushing through and keep driving, because like Kyle said, we have very big ambitions, and you know, you gotta keep grinding day in and day out.
Yeah, for me, I mean, Gary always referenced, you know, the book Rocket Fuel. Is that the name of the book, Gary? And he always said, hey, how are we going to add rocket fuel to our business? And essentially merging our companies did that for us, because we would have never done the summit if we didn't merge companies. We were having a lot of branding issues because he had his branding, I had my branding. So as soon as we did that, we were aligned, and boom, we have the summit, we've got the book coming out, our mastermind group. So things started to fall in together, and so kind of give us rocket fuel. As far as future growth, you know, Gary and I are of the mind that we need to add people to our team to continue to grow, or else we're not going to be able to focus on the right thing. So we just added an executive assistant actually just a few weeks ago, which is extremely exciting. So we've got our first full-time employee on our team. And so that's going to allow Gary and I to focus on the right things in the business versus kind of a lot of the, you know, small day-to-day items that someone else should be really taking on.
Yeah, it's amazing how far, you know, bringing on a team member to do certain tasks that you guys have been doing, like just how quickly it can add rocket fuel to what you're doing. Recently went through that with a VA that, or excuse me, an intern that we just brought on. That's breaking news. Actually, we haven't said this until now. We have an intern here at Dream Chasers, Aaron Eiler. Shout out to you, man. Excited to see how you do doing the show notes for this episode. But so anyways, gonna wrap it up here soon, guys. But I want to know if there's anyone that you would like to be listening to this interview right now, like your avatar, who's the ideal person that you would like to hear this interview, and how can they potentially, you know, connect and work with you? Like what do you guys need to get your business to the next level? I'm sorry, we'll start with Gary.
Yeah, it's you know, a seasoned investor that knows, you know, multifamily, that is you know, wants to align with a sponsor, with a GP team that knows how to run a deal correctly and wants to keep coming back and relies on them. We're looking for long-term relationships with our investors. It's not like, hey, give me your money and that's it. It's a partnership, and we honor that partnership. And so, yeah, we're looking for people that want to be in, 3-4 deals a year with us. And what's great so far has been our investors have kept coming back and every time, hey, I love what you guys are doing. I love your communication. This is my friend. He wants to invest. Can you talk to them and they bring other people each time we do a new deal. So that's the type of person we're looking for. And that's, it's really cool to see how that grows organically.
Yeah, from an educational standpoint, from that side of the business, we're looking for people that have been in the business probably for 3 to 6 years, have done 1 or 2 deals, maybe even 4 or 5, and want to know how to get better on the asset management side and learn how to actually run a business, hold people accountable, implement systems to continue to drive NOI. We are a focus group on just driving NOI and doing those small things right. So if you want to be in a part of a group of like-minded people that are really focused on that and education on that, I think that's who we're looking for. Like Gary said in the beginning, there's all this education on how to get started, how to do your first deal, how to raise capital. Not a lot of information on actually how to run the business, which is essentially what is going to be the moneymaker at the end of the day. If you don't know how to run and manage a business, then it's more likely to fail than not. And so that's what we're very passionate about, teaching other people and helping other people educate themselves on and get better on.
And a lot of those educational resources you guys are putting out can be found on your website?
Yep, aptcapitalgroup.com, or also Gary mentioned AM Summit 2020. You can also go to AM Summit 2021 that we have up right now. That is going to be for the next event. And this is a completely free event. We're just trying to educate people on that. We do have a very inexpensive VIP, but if you just want to simply attend the event, it's completely free.
Absolutely. Yeah, guys, I highly recommend, it's April. So just go ahead, go to the website, register for it, throw it in your calendar, and just go observe. There's a lot to learn, whether you're in asset management or looking to do your own virtual summit. You can really learn a lot from what these guys are doing. So just couldn't endorse it any more than we already have. But all right, we're closing it out here, guys. And I know I mentioned this to you on our call before this. I'm going to need you to give a shout out to someone you've never given a shout out to before. We'll switch it up this time. We'll start with Kyle and close with Gary. So Kyle.
Oh man, you're putting me on the spot. Let's see. I'm just going to throw out Tim Ferriss. I think a lot of the stuff that we did for the summit, we utilize some of his tools that he does with basically interviewing other people to get a lot of the content and then building it up from there. And that's what we did for our book as well. So random, but Tim Ferriss is my shout out.
Nice.
I'll give a shout out to my parents, and I've never done it on a podcast or anything, but they've always been so supportive. I mean, even emails that we send out now, my dad's always like, "Oh, I love what you're doing. I love this about it." The text on the summit. He's always giving me like positive, feedback, and it's. I mean, I'm a grown man, but it's still, it's cool that even as when I was growing up, whatever crazy idea I had, they're like, okay, go for it. We're supportive.
I love that. Wasn't expecting that. Shout out to Mr. and Mrs. Lipsky, right?
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, we are ready to close it out, guys. I know we already shared some links and some sources for our listeners to go to, but if you could give, and actually you guys know my buddy Adam Adams, I stole this from him on his show. He always asks for one single best way for anyone listening to follow up and get in touch, because sometimes it can be confusing when you give like 5 different ways. So now we'll go back. We'll start with Gary. What's the one single best way for anyone listening today to follow up and get in touch with you?
Yeah, connect with me on Facebook. This way we could, build a, relationship. We can, messenger and set up a call, but just don't be like a friend, connection. Let's have a conversation and build a relationship.
Nice. Kyle, how about you?
Yeah, you can schedule a call with me on our website, aptcapitalgroup.com. And that's the best place to find us. It's got all the information on what we do.
Awesome. Love it. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming and joining us here today. I can't wait to get this interview out to the people. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for sharing your secrets and lessons learned from the Asset Management Summit. I almost said virtual, but hopefully one day it'll just be back to regular. Any closing remarks?
Appreciate you having us on, Adam. And hopefully this helps your audience, and we're happy to answer any other questions if they come up afterwards.
Yeah. Thanks for having us on. I've loved seeing your growth as well. It's cool.
Thank you, Gary. All right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in to Dream Chasers, Interviews with the Future. We will catch you in the next episode. Remember, in all you think, say, and do, take it to the next level.